Well, Dale is a very familiar face here at Brooklands because you're a volunteer. But do tell us about this car that you've brought. It's yours?
Yeah, it's mine. I've owned it since about 2010. I bought it in Italy because most of the ones in England have had a serious rust problem over the years, and most of them are actually restored. Well, this one's 88 and not restored. It's looking tired, but it's still in one piece. Goes really well. I got to say, the main claim from fame today is that New Volare actually had one of these as his day car, so I feel fully entitled to be in a New Volare paddock.
Wow, that is quite something. What year is the car actually?
1936, and this is the last year of this car before Lancia brought out a very streamlined looking car, but it's quite technically advanced for its age. It's very nice. It's got pillarless doors, so I can take young ladies to their weddings and proms without them struggling to get in the back seats.
Perhaps New Volare was taking young ladies out in this car.
Well, I've seen photographs of him outside the Maserati factory, but I don't know about young ladies. I mean, he was one of most of the famous Italian car drivers had these as their day cars, and so when you look at it compared with a 12 horsepower English car, they're in totally different sort of league. They're much more complicated, much better cars, go better, and they're just a bit more challenging to keep on the road now because it's not that easy to certainly in England, to come across bits and pieces.
What about driving it in modern traffic? How does it go?
It's a bit slow, but it's fine. It's got really good brakes. It's got big hydraulic brakes, which most cars didn't have in the 1930s.
That was very advanced.
Well, considering it came out in 1931 and this was the last year, and they've had the same size brakes right through to the 50s with slightly improved hydraulics and technicalities, but Mr. Lancia said to the engineers they couldn't have hydraulic brakes on this when he started because they won't work when you go down mountains. And they didn't at first, so they started off with plain, regular sort of brake drums, which failed well down the mountain pass, so they then changed them and cast an aluminium liner outside the drums, and they got further down the mountain before the brakes faded. So then they put fins on the drums, and they got even further down the mountain. And when they painted the fin drums black, they got to the bottom. So that's why they are the way they are now.
So the car is pretty original.
Yeah, because it's not restored, it carries an awful lot of bodges which have been put straight enough that it's quite safe to drive on the road. It's fine. You
say it's not restored, but quite frankly, looking at it close to, even under distance, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, I think what the chap did that sold it to me, he had the red part painted with the wrong paint because all the red stuff's really crazed. But it's amazed if you sit under the wings, there's no sign of dents underneath them. It's amazing.
It's quality, isn't it?
It's got some good dents in the sills, but...
Did you put them in there?
No, they were done. When I bought it I got it home in 2012, I bought it in 2011. We were going to New Zealand in the middle of the Christmas of that year, so I sent it down to a chap down Exeter way who did restorations. He collected the car from Italy for me, took it back and welded up one little hole about 9 inches long and a couple of inches high, and that's the only welding it's had done.
That's an incredible story of strength and reliability of a car of that age.
And also, I think things have changed around a bit now because more people come along and say, "Oh, I like your car because it's not all bright and shiny."
I would agree with that. The patina of age is attractive. Brand new old cars are not attractive.
Yeah, I mean, when I got it, and I still have got all the engine, gearbox and back axle with the right number because I got a copy of the factory build sheet from the day it was made. At the moment, the block on the right engine had a disaster It's all been out to News. The whole engine, spare engine's been out to New Zealand to be re-machined. I've just got to get brave enough to take this out and take two engines to bits and swap the bits around now.
So, talking about engines, what sort of power does it produce, and what sort of weight is the car?
It's 1198, 1200 cc's. Now, in English parlance, it would have been a 12 horsepower car. In RAC horsepower, it's 12, but if it was an English 1200, it would be 10 horsepower because of the way they built the English engines with little pistons and long strokes.
And what sort of weight is the car?
1600 weight, 1600 kilos. Right. 34 brake horsepower at 4,000 RPM.
What does it rev to comfortably?
It's in the instruction book. It's quite specific. Do not. I mean, it hasn't got a tacho, but it says it gives you a set of speeds not to exceed. And I mean, unkindly, I have seen this do 70, but it's not something I do as a matter of course. The 70 was based on trying to calibrate the tacho off a sat nav.
So that's your excuse. You wanted to
it was also probably not very smart, but
great.
It goes really well.
Fantastic to see the car here and have you here, and thank you for talking about it. It's one of the nicest cars in the paddock.
I'm one of those people who can't help talking about their cars.
That's what makes it so good to come here on a day like this and just meet people who are, I say, owners, but not really your custodian of it.
It'll outlast me, I think, now. I told my son he'd better inherit it or I'm going to come back and haunt him.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Dale.
Okay.